Welcome to the Europe unit. This is going to be the reading for physical features in climate regions. This is pages 274, and then halfway through it's going to be pages 282 through 288. All right, starting with the first page, 274, physical features. Picture this, snowdrifts. No, these snow-like mounds were formed about 1,500 years ago during a volcanic eruption on the island of Lipira, off the coast of Sicily in Italy. The mounds are made of pumice, a stone formed from the cooling of lava, which rained down on the island during the eruption. Today, the volcano is quiet, but the Lipara hums with the sounds of open-pit pumice mines. Pumice is used to polish smooth surfaces. The stone is often used to give stone-washed jeans their worn look. In Section 1, you will learn about the different European landforms and the effect they had on the people living in the region. Landform and waterways. Main idea. Europe's landforms and waterways have greatly influenced where and how Europeans live. Geography and you. What landforms can you find near your community? In Europe, you will find impressive mountains, shimmering seas, and rolling farmland. Read to learn more about the variety of landscapes on this small continent. When you look at the map of Europe, one of those things you notice is that the continent is not a separate landmass. Instead, Europe and Asia share a common landmass called Eurasia. Europe extends to the west and from Asia to Atlantic Ocean. Europe's long coastlines is fringed by the Atlantic and by several seas. These include the Baltic, North, Mediterranean, and Black Sea. Most land in Europe lies within 300 miles of the coast. Only a few countries are landlocked, meaning they do not border an ocean or sea. Relatively long rivers, however, do give these inland countries access to coastal ports. This nearest to water has shaped lives and history of Europe's people. Europeans developed skills in sailing and fishing, which encouraged trade and helped Europe's economy grow. The closeness to the sea has allowed people to move easily between Europe and other continents. As a result, European culture has both influenced and been influenced by the cultures of Asia, Africa, and the Americas. Peninsulas and islands. Look at the physical map in this unit's regional atlas. You can see that Europe is a huge peninsula, with many smaller peninsulas. Branching out from it, Europe also includes many islands. Some of the major islands are Great Britain, Ireland, and Iceland in the Atlantic Ocean. Other large islands include Sicily, Crete, Cyprus, and are located in the Mediterranean Sea. The large number of peninsulas and islands has affected Europe's history. Groups of peoples were separated by Europe's many seas, rivers, and mountains. As a result, many different cultures developed. Today, Europe is home to more than 40 independent countries. That is a remarkable number of neighbors squeezed together in a relatively small continent. Plains. Europe's major landform in the Northern European plain is the Northern European plain. This large lowland area stretches like a rumpled blanket across the northern half of the mainland Europe. It is rolling land with isolated hills. The Northern Europe plains reaches from Belarus and Ukraine westward to France and also extends to the British Isles. The plains' rich soil makes its farms highly productive. Farmers grow a great variety of grains, fruits, and vegetables. Some farmers raise dairy cattle to produce milk used in making cheese and other dairy products. The Northern European plain has also important energy and mineral resources. Deposits of coal, iron ore, and other minerals lie underground. These resources aided Europeans' industrial growth. Because the plain is so rich agriculturally and industrially, it is densely populated. Today, most of Europeans' people live in the area. The landscape is dotted with villages and towns and cities, including the busy capital cities of Warsaw, Berlin, Paris, and London. Europe has other lowlands in addition to Northern European plain. For example, northern plains rim the coasts of Southern Europe, two larger lowlands in the east, the Hungarian plain, and east of the Alps, and the Ukrainian steppe, a broad, grassy plain north of the Black Sea, have rich soil which supports farming. Mountains and highlands. Highlands mark the northern border of the northern European plain. Steeper mountains lie south of the plain. Europe's highest mountain ranges form the Alpine mountain system, which stretches from Spain to the Balkan Peninsula. The system takes its name from the Alps of the south-central Europe. It also includes the Pyrenees, which lie between France and Spain, and Carpathians is east-central Europe. The region's highest peak is Mont Blanc in the Alps of France. It rises to 15,771 feet. Most of Europe's mountains, however, are not very tall compared to those of Asia. Like some of Europe's other landforms, mountains have helped isolate certain countries and peoples. Switzerland, for example, is located high in the Alps. While Europeans' wars have raged around it, the country has remained free from conflict and invasion for many centuries. Europe's mountains, however, completely blocked movement through. Passes, or low areas between mountains, allowed the movement of people and goods. Less dramatic than Europe's mountains are the three older highland areas that have eroded over time. Uplands in the northwest extend from Sweden through the northern Great Britain to Iceland. Stripped of soil by glaciers, the land here is poor for farming, so many people raise sheep. A second highland area, the central uplands, contains much of Europe's coal. The area reaches from southern Poland to France. The third highland, the Mesta, in Spain, is a plateau on which people grow grains and raise livestock. Waterways. In addition to the plains and mountains, Europe has an abundance of rivers, lakes, and other waterways. Europe's major rivers from inland highlands, mountains, and the oceans and seas surrounding the region. Many European rivers are navigable or wide and deep enough for ships to use. People and goods can sail easily from inland areas to the open sea and from there around the world. The Danube and the Rhine, two of Europe's longest rivers, are important for transporting goods. Canals like the rivers further improving Europe's water transportation network. Rivers carry rich soil downstream, creating productive farmland along their banks and at their mouths. For this reason, river valleys have long been home to large numbers of people. Today, fast-flowing rivers are used to generate electricity to support these large populations. Lakes cover only a small fraction of Europe. They are valuable for recreation, though, and for tourism, most lakes are located on the northern European plain and in Scandinavia. The highland lakes in northern Great Britain and the Alps, however, are among the most beautiful and frequently visited. People flock to these lakes to boat, fish, swim, and appreciate nature. Europe's resources. Europe has many valuable resources that strengthen its economy. Europe is a leader in the world economy. Part of this success comes from Europe's rich supply of natural resources. Energy resources. Coal has been a major energy source in Europe for many decades. By burning coal, Europeans fueled the development of the modern industry in the 1800s. Today, almost half the world's coal comes from Europe. Coal mining provides jobs for people from the United Kingdom in the west to Ukraine, Poland, and the Czech Republic in the east. Petroleum and natural gas are other important energy resources found in Europe. The region's most productive oil fields lie beneath the North Sea, in areas controlled by the United Kingdom and Norway. To discourage dependence on oil, though, European governments tax gasoline heavily. Drivers in Europe pay some of the highest gasoline prices in the world. Europe also relies on several clean energy sources that cause less pollution than burning coal or oil. In the highlands and mountains, swift-flowing rivers are used to create hydroelectric power. Europeans also make use of the wind's power. Germany, Spain, and Denmark are leaders in the building wind farms, which use large turbines to create electricity from the wind. Other natural resources. Besides energy resources, Europe has many important natural resources. European mines produce about 1/3 of the world's iron ore, which is used in making steel. Ukraine has deposits of manganese and other important ingredients of steel. The United Kingdom exports a special clay to make fine china dishes. Marble from Italy and granite from Norway and Sweden provide fine building materials. Of course, stone has always been used for building. Many European towns have narrow cobblestone streets and quaint stone houses that are centuries old. Forests once covered a large part of Europe. Long ago, however, people cleared the land for farms and used much of the wood for building and fuel. Today, only small pockets of forest remains. Sweden and Finland have the most forest land and produce the most lumber. Environmental issues. Here's the main idea. Europe's plentiful resources have helped its economy, but environment problems are a growing concern. Fertile soil is another valuable resource. Providing Europe with some of the best farmland on the planet, European farmers grow a large amount of grains, including nearly all the world's rye, most of the oats, and nearly half of its wheat. Europe also produces more potatoes than any other region in the world. The waters around Europe contain yet another resource, fish. From the Mediterranean Sea to the North Atlantic, Europeans catch salmon, cod, and other varieties of fish. Fishing is important to the economy, but many Europeans also eat lots of fish and value its health benefits. By taking advantage of natural resources, Europe has become an economic powerhouse. The impact on the environment, however, has been harmful. For instance, in deforested areas of southern Europe, tree roots no longer hold the soil in place. Valuable topsoil can be washed away. Air pollution and acid rain. Industrial growth in Europe has hurt the environment and created health risks. For example, car exhaust and smoke from burning oil and coal create air pollution. This pollution causes breathing problems, eye irritation, and lung disease. Air pollution has another serious effect. When pollutants, particulars, mix with the precipitation, acid rain falls to the earth. Acid rain can make trees vulnerable to attack from insects and diseases. Forests in Eastern Europe are especially threatened. In that region, lignite coal is a major fuel source because it is cheap. It burns poorly, however, and pollutes heavily. The resulting acid rain has destroyed many forest areas in Hungary, Poland, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia. Acid rain falls on Europeans' waterways as well as in its forests. As acid builds up in lakes, rivers, and streams, fish and other wildlife are poisoned and die. Acid rain has a problem for Europe's historical buildings. The famous Tower of London, Germany's Cologne Cathedral, and ancient buildings and monuments dating from the Greek and Roman times all show damage from acid deposits. Water pollution. Water pollution is another challenge for Europe. Sewage, garbage, and industrial waste have been dumped into the region's seas, lakes, and rivers. As populations and tourism have increased, the problem has worsened. Runoff from farms is also a problem for Europe's waters. Runoff is precipitation that flows over the ground, often picking up pesticides and fertilizers along the way. When chemicals from the runoff enter a river, they encourage the growth of algae. Algae rob the river of so much oxygen that fish cannot survive. Runoff spilling into the Danube River, for example, has killed much of its marine life. Finding solutions. European leaders are trying to solve environmental problems. In a number of ways, many are working to prevent air pollution and acid rain by limiting the amount of chemicals that factories and cars can release into the air. Norway and Sweden are adding lime to their lakes. This substance stops the damage caused by acid rain and allows fish to multiply again. Europeans are also making their lakes and rivers cleaner by treating waste and sewage. In addition to some countries encourage farmers to use less fertilizer to reduce damaging runoff. Recycling is another strategy for protecting the environment. Europeans now recycle more paper, plastics, and glass than in the past. This saves energy that would otherwise be needed to produce these goods and cuts down on waste.